song. What a beautiful song. Okay, we're going to go from beautiful song to more of a funny song. 5'2", Eyes of Blue. And very popular song in the 1920s, also known as Anybody Seen My Gal? Now, you'll know that it's not his 5'2" gal if you find a gal covered with furs and diamond rings. That's not his gal.
This is a short song, we'll sing it twice. 5'2", eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 foot can do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaus. Has anybody seen my gal? If you should run into a 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings, all those things, bet your life it isn't her. But could she love, could she woo, could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal?
One more time.
5'2", eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 foot can do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaus. Has anybody seen my gal? If you should run into a 5'2", covered with fur, diamond rings, all those things, bet your life it isn't her. Could she love, could she woo, could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? Has anybody seen my gal?
One more time.
Has anybody seen my gal?
Okay, the next song is Freight Train, American folk song written by Elizabeth Cotton, an African-American teenager. She was a teenager in the early 20th century, but it became popular later in the 1950s and 60s when the American folk songs became more popular. She composed her song as a teenager, and one thing that's puzzling to me about the lyrics is she talks a lot about dying. She talks about when I'm dead in my grave. She talks about when I die, please bury me deep. And then she talks about one more place I'd like to see, assuming that's one more place before she dies. So it's interesting that a teenager is so concerned about dying. Okay, Freight Train.
Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on, so they won't know what route I'm gone. When I'm dead and in my grave, no more good times here I crave. Place the stones at my head and feet, and tell them I've gone to sleep. Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on, so they won't know what route I'm gone. When I die, Lord, bury me deep, down at the end of Chestnut Street, where I can hear old number 9 as she comes rolling by. Freight train, train, run round the bend. Freight train, gone again. One of these days, turn that train around, going back to my hometown. Freight train, run so fast. Freight train, run so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on, so they won't know what route I'm gone. One more place I'd like to see. One more place I'd like to be. To watch those Blue Ridge Mountains climb when I ride over number 9.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next song is Glory of Love. Was recorded by Benny Goodman in 1936 and was, for a while, was the #1 pop hit. Oh, and here we get back to Paul McCartney. It was recorded by a vast number of artists, ranging from Dean Martin to Jimmy Durante to Paul McCartney. Does anybody remember Jimmy Durante's, when he would close out his TV show? He would say, "Goodbye, Mrs. Calapash, wherever you are." Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
I just thought of that. See, that just popped into my senior head. Anyway, it's got Bette Midler included in her, the song in her film Beaches in 1988. Glory of Love.
You've got to give a little, take a little, and let your heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You've got to laugh a little, cry a little, until the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we've got the world and all its charms. And when the world is through with us, we've got each other's arms. We've got to win a little, lose a little. Yes, and always have the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. One more time. We've got to give a little, take a little, and let your poor heart break a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. You've got to laugh a little, cry a little, until the clouds roll by a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love. As long as there's the two of us, we've got the world and all its charms. And when the world is through with us, we've got each other's arms. You've got to win a little, lose a little. Yes, and always have the blues a little. That's the story of, that's the glory of love.
Yeah.
Okay.
One page. That's
No hearing it.
yeah, next page.
The next song is Goodnight Irene. We're going to do a little harmony on this, on the verses. And it's a 20th century American folk standard. And I like to tell you the name of the first person to record it was blues musician Huddy Leadbelly Ledbetter. Nothing to do with Ledbetter Beach, I don't think. Anyway, 1933. Tells of a stranger whose troubled past with his love Irene He expresses his sadness and frustration. Now, there's a line in there called, "Sometimes I take a great notion to jump in the river and drown." And that was an inspiration for the 1964 Ken Kesey novel, Sometimes a Great Notion, which you may have read in 1964. So anyway, Goodnight Irene. Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my wife settled down. Now me and my wife have parted on a take and a stroll downtown.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
Sometimes I live in the country. Sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I have a great notion to jump in the river and drown.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
Stop your rambling, stop your gambling. Quit staying out late at night. Stay home with your wife and family. Stay there by the fireside bright.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams.
Let's have a hand for Mary Jo, the harmony.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.